Alright guys, another one of my favorite kind of videos. We're going to talk about the stuff that I own instead of like, training or critical life-saving concepts or whatever. Since that's what people want, I guess. I still love you, even though you disappointed me. Today we're talking about my Crye AVS, and Mitchell and I were just joking about how there's nothing on it that's a Crye AVS except the harness. So we're just going to jump straight into talking about what makes Crye AVS a Crye AVS. But before we do that, we're going to talk about the biggest sponsor of our channel, which is Texas Loot. We're powered by Texas Loot. They're located in Houston, but they sell stuff online like anybody else in 2023 that's worth mentioning. They are an FFL, so you can get all that kind of related items there, but also they sell armor, they sell ferro, they sell hard plates, they sell helmets, night vision, everything you can think of. If you go to them and you order and use code SQUATS, that's SQUATS, up here, that is going to give you free shipping. So whatever it is, you could be in occupied territory somewhere and you want some cool guy pants and you order them from Texas Loot, you get free shipping. So without further ado, let's talk about the matter at hand. Crye AVS is essentially like a backpack frame that supports stuff. It is what you call a structural plate carrier, and that means that it is built around a structure. Essentially, it is two things that look like this. You have the pieces that come around and fold into the plate bag pockets. I'll show you this in a minute. And they hug your sides, and they're rigid, and they're padded, and they give it structure. Then you have the pieces that come up and around your shoulders. Looks kind of like Master Chief armor. Looks like kind of like a Spartan 2 Mjolnir system here. It comes up and around, and it basically just grabs onto you like a little starfish, giving you a kiss from the back. And what I love about it is it doesn't feel like you're wearing a plate carrier. It feels like you're wearing a really lightweight backpack because the weight is distributed across your body in a really good way. It's designed well. Another thing about that is that the actual panels can move and breathe with you. So the plate bag is sitting on this backpack panel, and woven in between them is shock tube, or shock cord, not shock tube. Shock tube blows up. Shock cord goes like and stretches. So being able to breathe with it on and not have it constrict you because it opens and moves with your expansion of your rib cage is really, really, really cool. So, or your chest cavity or whatever the technical term is. There can be a doctor watching this and it's like, oh, actually your rib cage doesn't expand because it's YouTube, So let's talk about, we'll start front to back just like we always do, and then we'll get into the actual harness as we go. This plate bag is actually not made by Crye because they didn't offer a MultiCam Tropic, which is my personal favorite. So I went to a dude that goes by the name of Molly Monkey on Instagram, and it took him like 9 months to make it, but it is indistinguishable other than it doesn't have Crye tags on it. Fantastic stitching, everything is top-notch quality materials. I mean, it's a one-for-one of a real Crye plate bag, and that was what reviews of his stuff said. But anytime you order a clone of something in a pattern that it doesn't exist in, you run the risk of it taking forever to get there, or you get it and the stitching's messed up or whatever. So the only complaint is just that it took a legendary amount of time to receive this, but it was worth it because it's really, really, really well done. So with all that being said, it's not a real Crye plate bag, but it might as well be, and it's in a way cooler pattern than anything they sell. Notice how structural, like I was talking about, it supports, it's tilting to this side because it's got water over here, but it's not, the plates aren't even touching, right? It's like spring loaded. So when you put that on, this plate bag is really not even pressing into you. It's distanced off your body because it's being pushed away by the rigid support of this harness. So it's, instead of it squishing you, it's just sitting on you, right? The plate bag itself is really modular. It's got a lot of really cool features. It can support placards. It can support just, you run it slick and you put a little kangaroo pouch down there. All kinds of stuff you can do with it. It's got openings just like any other plate carrier for admin pouches and stuff like that. What I've got up here at the top, I'll talk about this real quick, it's just a Disco Nexus PTT, and I have it stuck in that little admin pouch flap right there in the middle where they actually have a opening in the Velcro for that. That puts it below the plate, so if I'm looking down in the gas mask or whatever, I'm not hitting it. And felt something tickle in my belly button. That antenna was up in there. Nice and deep like. So Anyway, Disco Nexus PTT, straight onto the plate bag. Right below it, we've got a candy pouch is the name of the item from Microbat Systems. They sent me these just because they like me, I guess, and they wanted me to have them in Tropic. And that's really a handy thing. I can put, a little field manual, map packet, small notebook items, pens, or literal candy, which is what I like to do. Keep your blood sugar up when you're doing stuff like that's important. The placard is made by a friend. He doesn't make stuff anymore, so it's really not worth mentioning, like a company or anything, but he makes really good stuff. It was made to spec for what I wanted. So I've got a very generous admin flap here if I need it. Otherwise, it lays very flat. This is pistol mag or utility pouches on either side of it. These are just examples of what I could carry. Fireman's wedge for breaching, auto closure doors or whatever, EOD tool. This is the kind of space where I could put explosive breaching materials, firing device, whatever else. And then, of course, the triple mag placard. And I also have other inserts for this. I can do AK mags, 4x of subgun mags, or whatever else. And you'll see on the sides of it here and here, I have these little guys, little swift clips. That's for a breaching pack or an assault pack like Shaw makes, and we'll talk about it another time. So not a big deal. So that's kind of the front plate bag. Nothing really crazy about it, but it is very well made. And we're going to work our way around the sides now, okay? So going along the left side, something to note about the Crye AVS, it has these, we were just talking about this. We'll have to get a zoom in of this. It literally just broke. Yeah, so earlier he was like, wow, this zip tie looks really old. And I was like, it's been on there for 7 years or 8 years on this Blaze Defense Systems first spear tube adapter. I bought this for my SWAT kit in like 2016 because I hated the Velcro just all the time. So this first spear tube adapter allows you to get tension on your cummerbund without having to remove the Velcro, right? And I had put this, may he rest in peace, the zip tie on there in 2016. Anyway, so the way these work, you pull tension out on this little tab here and it releases that tooth from the locking wedge right here and it just poof, slides off. But here's something to note about the Crye cummerbunds. And again, this is a clone cummerbund from Molly Monkey, but it's exactly the same. It's in there on shock cord, so that allows it to move, and that's what's actually holding tension around your sides. The internal structural piece, like I was talking about, is this semi-rigid guy, and it has movable padding on it. And notice that the inside of it is like a microfoam sort of, or a microfilament like loop material. So Velcro sticks to it. And this is where you would put your Ferro soft armor or whatever other kind of soft armor you have that attaches via hook and loop. Another thing to note is that it's got some adaptability here. It has a MOLLE external portion. So you can actually run pouches and items on this and then put the cummerbund over them. So you could run your radio pouch on this, put your cummerbund over it. Also, you can remove that piece. You can do all kinds of stuff with this. There's a ton of options on layering, putting pouches between things, and it's just really an adaptable system that I really, really like. Not really anything to complain about. That's where I want to talk about another part of the front plate bag. I know we're kind of going backward, but it interfaces with this. This is how it actually provides structure. So this bit goes in there, and that is keeping the upper limit, right? The front plate bag can't shift relative to the rear because it's being anchored by what the rear plate bag is attached to. So there's no part of this carrier that isn't anchored to another part of the carrier with some sort of elasticity or expandable nature. So the whole thing's holding pressure on itself and keeping its own shape without just hanging on you. It's really cool. Anyway, I'll quit nerding out about that. Working our way back around. The back plate is nothing special, except that it's made to interface with this harness. And I'll show you the inside of it in a second. It does have a drag strap. You should never use the drag strap on a plate because it's just going to choke your homie out. But that is a feature that it comes with, which in my opinion is useless and or harmful. It does have the zippers on it to attach any of the Crye zip-on panels. And then of course it's covered in moly, so you can do whatever you want with it. It does come with a moly field over the loop, so that is functional moly there, as well as having loop on it. So I get to put my super cool MultiCam Tropic flag on my MultiCam Tropic carrier. I've rerouted a body worn antenna around and through, and we'll get to that in a minute. Right side of the carrier on the cummerbund. Same system as the other side that you saw, but I keep this one anchored without a QD. I'm a really big fan of swimming into a carrier all from one side. Been doing it that way since the jump. I really like it. So I enter my carrier this way, put my body into it, clip the shoulder, clip around. And I find that to be a much more efficient system. It means I don't have to drop the carrier down over my head. I'm not picking it up over myself and causing shoulder problems over time and things like that. So just, you know, work smarter, not harder. If I take my kit on and off 2,000 times in a year and I'm having to do this with it and put it on one side over and over again, I'd rather just step into it. So anyway, what I've done here, and this is why I showed you guys on the other side of the cummerbund, how it opens up and has that space in between it. I put the large candy pouch from Microbat, and I can actually fit a good bit of stuff in here because remember you saw how there's that sort of rigid moly panel, and then you have the plastic reinforced tongue that goes into that groove in the plate bag. I can create a structure with that, and I laid it down over the pouch. So we'll get a close-up of it in a bit, but this pouch is actually open. Like I could fit a whole candy bar or whatever else in there, you know, another notepad, more materials. So this is completely unused space that I can now do something with because of the Microbat Systems pouch. Really, really interesting use of space. It doesn't interfere with anything, and when I put pressure on it, it lays flat if there's nothing in it. For the actual radio pouch, I have that attached to the cummerbund, as you can see, not to the internal structural piece, because I don't want there to be a permanent type of pressure just bearing down on the radio pouch. That means I'm going to have to pull on the cummerbund to finagle it, change stuff on it. This is not how I like to run a radio pouch most of the time. Most of the time I would prefer to run my radio pouch inside the cummerbund, and you may have seen that on other kit videos. I really prefer not to run a radio on the outside, but I'm kind of stuck with it here. And that's okay. I'm not running a breaching shotgun on this kit, and this is typically like my outdoor movement kit. It's the camo that works in my area, and that brings me to the next thing, water, okay? If you've watched other kit videos, I never talked about having water on my person. If I'm teaching CQB in that kit, which is really a lot of the function of what we're talking about for other gear I may have shown you, I got a water bottle in my cargo pocket, or, you know, someone's bringing me a water bottle and I'm shooting the whole thing and I'm going back to teaching. I don't like having to take breaks and sit there and be like, hang on in the middle of my sentence. You know, I like to just chug it and go. Well, in a sustainment situation or in maneuvering when you're outside, you need to be drinking a lot. So I can actually layer this really easily with my ruck, which we're not going to do as part of the video, but because this thing is so structural and supporting my weight, it's not hard to throw a pack over it, support my hips. And then I have a Spirit Systems Nalgene pouch here. This is an innovative product. I like it. When it's not being used, it actually lays quite flat, which I'm a huge fan of. So it's not bulky. It's laser cut laminate. And it has some other features on it. It's pretty adaptable. So you could attach different cordage here if you didn't want to run this part of the system. And because it is that laminate material, it's not, I don't have to fight it. I don't have to try and open it and then stick the bottle in and then manage. I literally can take a swig and look at how beautiful that is. Let's one more time. This is a great product. So I highly recommend it. It's not expensive and it comes in all kinds of cool colorways because unlike some companies, Spirit System makes things in Tropic. Yeah. So that's pretty much the whole deal with this kit. Let's talk about the shoulder pads. That's the last bit. This is something interesting. Actually, Axel did not recommend putting their shoulder pads on this. So this is the Axel shoulder pad upgrade. I ran these for years on my other kit on the Velocity system. So you've already seen these in another video. And when the guys at Axle saw it, they were like, wait, it worked really well for that kit. Yeah, it's like almost made for it. It's crazy. The angles are basically identical because what they were trying to do at Axle was create a structural weight distributing shoulder pad. And it's got a Tegris layer in there between where the foam would apply pressure. So instead of the kit touching foam and basically it's tacoing that foam and just driving the same amount of pressure point into your shoulder, the Tegris is stopping that and it's distributing that weight out over that foam. So you're getting way more actual use of the foam for cushion with this. When you add that on top of the already structural and padded Crye shoulder wings here, it is basically like you're not wearing anything. It is crazy. So it's really a very innovative system. It's very similar here to Pharaoh's design in that you can on either side have a clip or not, but these use like a universal width buckle, and they don't use like a Cobra. I guess you could technically get away with it if you had a Cobra on some sort of Velcro insert, but these are typically marketed and designed to use plastic clips. I was a little leery of that at first because I was like, oh, it's not going to support the weight. Man, what kind of weight is actually pulling on this thing? Basically nothing. If it is, it's a few pounds, and these are rated for a lot more than that. So overall, a very, very good kit. We're going to show you some close-ups of some stuff, and I'm going to talk through it. But there is a, on the rear plate bag, there is an interface system that uses a lot of elastic cordage, and it's basically laced like a corset through these pockets. And it kind of acts like a expandable ribs almost. And it allows when you breathe and when you move and shift your weight, the whole kit can expand and move with you. It's got really good like closed cell padding that you can move around and put where, like, if you wear it for a few hours, you get a hot spot, you can literally just move the pad. So it's very adaptable to the individual. It's scalable. Not hard to change if you need to adjust the sizing of it or whatever else. So if you've never worn one and you get the chance to try it, definitely would suggest it. If you're ever doing something where you're going to wear your kit for like days, this is going to keep that weight off of you, and I would highly recommend it because of that. But otherwise, I hope you guys got something out of the video. Maybe you learned something about the platform, the Crye AVS, that you didn't know. Maybe you'd never even heard of it, I don't know. But just remember that gear is important, but going to train is more important. There's that kid out there who got, 3 folks with a Delton, it's like a $500 AR, and wearing short shorts and blue gloves. And I don't know if he had much of anything, And there are people that would tell him like, hey, you're not operational. You can't go defend yourself with that $500 AR because that's not what the Reddit subforum said. What's more important is that you actually go train. So go outside, get some sunlight, get out of the basement, put your stuff on, do some movement, do some work, do some pull-ups, quit eating soy. Things like that will help you in your life. And seek out training, not just from us, but from other people, vetted people like Core Vision Training up in Washington, people that are training civilians the same way they're training everyone else. They're not gatekeeping. And look for that good vetted instruction. Just don't go for what looks cool on Instagram. Figure out what you need. Figure out where you actually want to wear this kit. Figure out if you're trying to do sustainment, you're trying to do entry. What's the why behind your movement and your use case? And then make your armor and your equipment and all that stuff fit what you're doing. Don't try to become something for the gear. Try to make the gear make sense for what you're doing. And that's really all I can leave you with. So if you like the video, share it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. If you subscribe to the channel, that helps us out, as it doesn't cost you anything. And you can mute the notifications on your YouTube if you even knew you had those. So do us a favor, hit that little button. Small businesses like us can only exist if people know we exist. And we need your help in getting the word out there. We've grown really fast. I want to keep growing. So tell your friends, share the video, subscribe to it, and if you got a constructive comment, drop it down below. I'll do my best to answer it. So thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.